Hey survivors, it's Self-Care Queen and welcome to my first ever YouTube video. I'm very excited, but I'm a little bit nervous, so grab a cuppa and settle in. So this channel is going to be all about mental health, self-care and self-love. I'm going to be sharing my own experience with mental health and the different therapies I've had, the different resources and help and support that I've received, and sharing my real practical tips with you. Everybody has a mental health. You don't have to have a condition or a diagnosis. We are all on this spectrum of feeling depressed, of feeling really excited and happy, of feeling depressed again, and in between. It's a whole spectrum. And you watching this video today, you do have a mental health and everything does apply to you. We need to learn these practical tools to be able to manage and cope with the daily stresses of life. Life can be really stressful, and I just want to be honest and be vulnerable with you and let you know that it is okay not to be okay. I'm not all happy and smiley all the time. I do feel very, very dark. And it's on those days that I would love to help pull you out and support you guys out of those dark moments. So I'm going to be uploading a lot of videos on different topics. So I'm going to do a video specifically on anxiety, a video specifically on attachment, a video on what to do when you're in a crisis, because I want my channel to be a channel full of practical resources that you can click on and use in the moment. I really don't want you ever to feel alone. And in those times where you do feel alone, please reach out, if that's to a friend or a family member or Samaritans or a crisis line. I will link some great support things. I'm going to do a video in more depth about when my mental health conditions started developing, but I'll just give you a kind of shortened version of a story that is. My mental health struggles started when I was about 12. I moved from primary school into secondary school, which is often a big change for many, but for me it felt, oh my gosh, it felt enormous. I would go to the school gates, I would feel sick. I would go home and I would feel sick. I just want to go to bed and cry. And it was getting to the point where I would be going to the medical room, the school nurse, about every day saying, oh, I've got a tummy ache, or I've got a headache, or oh, I've got a really, really bad like arm pain, or my eyes, like everything under the sun I was saying to the school nurse, just because I wanted to go home. I wanted to get out of school and get back to my bed. And over time, school and my mum noticed that this wasn't typical for a child who's just started secondary school. All of these like physical problems weren't really presenting itself. So I went to my GP, he gave me a full physical examination, everything was fine. And then he sent me to CAMS, which is Child and Adolescent Mental Health Services. And CAMS take you, I think it's 5, it might be a little bit older, but you can go to CAMS when you're a child up until you're 18, and then at age 18 you go into the adult services. So I was age 12, I went into CAMS and I saw a psychotherapist for a few sessions, and then she diagnosed me with depression and anxiety. And at this point I was like, what is that? What is depression? What is anxiety? Nobody's ever told me what these words mean. What is it? I was very confused. So I went home, I cried some more, and I just felt very confused. I felt like no one actually understood me. I felt like I was getting put like labels on me, but no work was actually happening. I wasn't recovering as quick as I wanted to recover. So I received some therapy at CAMS, and then I was put on some medication and I received psychotherapy once a week. I was trying to go to school, but school was the main concern, and it wasn't because I was being bullied, it wasn't because I wasn't doing okay academically. Emotionally, it was where I was kind of drowning. I felt very overwhelmed, having to focus on all the different subjects in the school day and being at school for what, like eight and a half hours each day. That just didn't work for me at that point in my time. So I was in and out of CAMS, and then trigger warning as well. I will put a trigger warning at the start of my videos for you guys, but trigger warning for now. I overdosed about 3 or 4 times when I was between the ages of 13 and 15, 16. And that's because I felt very unheard, I felt very unsupported, and I didn't want to be here anymore. I couldn't see the way out. I felt very lost, very alone, and to take an overdose, to kind of completely take my own life, was the only thing I had, the only control I had. Fortunately, the overdoses weren't successful. I'm still here today. But what the overdoses did do, which is kind of crap really, but they got me more support, and the extra support is what I wanted and needed. So I went to camps twice a week. School were much more supportive, and I think that is very tricky in mental health services, because they need to, like, you tell them things, but I feel like, I mean, I'm only speaking from my own experience, but I feel like sometimes I would tell them things and they wouldn't really believe me. So when I did the overdoses, a lot of the time it was because I wanted people to hear me, and it was only some of the time, a very small amount of time, it was because I actually wanted to end my life. So you can see the difference. But anyway, that was kind of school life. I was on meds, slowly started to get better along with the therapy, and then I was discharged from CAMS at 18. Had a year out there on my own, I would say. Well, I went to do a BTEC in performing arts, with only one GCSE in English, because I didn't pass any of my GCSEs in school because I was that unwell. And then after that, I started at university. So when I turned 18, things started to get a little bit bumpy again in my journey. So I called the crisis line, and I was on the phone to the crisis lines just a lot more than I had ever accessed them before. It was about 3-4 times a week I was calling them. So then they referred me to the adult mental health services. And that was tricky because it was like a whole another set of doctors, set of nurses, set of specialists in my case, and I had to explain everything over and over and over again. But I knew I wasn't depressed anymore, because or my depression I managed to control those symptoms a lot better, because I managed to get out of the house. I was just going to start at university. I was able to eat. I was able to take part in my hobbies again. It was more of my emotions and my impulsivity I would struggled with, and relationships as well. And when I say relationships, I mean like friendships, romantic relationships, professional, all of that. I struggled with them. So after another set of assessments, I was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, which is my current diagnosis. And BPD affects my daily life. It is very, very tricky living with BPD. I never know whether I'm coming or going. That is how it is sometimes. But I have learned a lot of skills to be able to deal with a lot of the symptoms, such as I've had DBT therapy, which is dialectical behavioural therapy. I've had psychotherapy, I've had counselling, I've had a lot of therapy, but I'm still struggling. And that's just because I know mental health recovery is a journey. It's not linear. It's like and so on, until the day I die. And that's just how it is. But I'm learning the skills, and I'm using my therapy to be able to kind of balance it out, and to be able to feel in control a little bit, most of the time. So yeah, I was diagnosed with BPD when I was 18. I'm 22 now. And yeah, it's been tricky. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, it is tricky. I came off medication for a bit. I am now back on a different type of medication, which I will share in another video. But yeah, it's hard, man. I'm gonna be honest, it's difficult. I mean, you'll see me here confident talking to you guys on camera, and you'll see me on Instagram being confident, but I do hit crisis points sometimes, and I hit a crisis point not too long ago, and that is really hard, because I felt like I had gotten better. And I say better because I feel like, as I've said before, no one is really better. You're on a healing journey. What is better anyway? What is healed? What is that? But I reached a point where I was stable, and then I kind of relapsed. And each time I relapse, I get back up much quicker, but my self-critic is very harsh on myself, if that makes sense. But yeah, and that is me today. I'm currently on a waiting list to receive some more therapy. Yay! I love therapy. And this one is specifically going to look at my attachments with people and in relationships, because I feel like my emotions and my impulsivity I've kind of managed to stabilize, but it's my attachments I know I need a lot of work on. So I'm on a waiting list for some more therapy. But that is my mental health story to date. And yeah, in between therapy and with therapy, I've just had to learn the art and the power of self-care and self-love, because you have to just do it. It's tricky. The medication isn't going to all do it for you. The therapists aren't just all going to do it for you. They help greatly, trust me. Literally, I don't know if I would be here if I didn't have therapy or medication. But just kind of learning to love yourself, it's hard. But I feel like it's a skill that we all need to learn at some point in life, because there's only one of us. We've only got one body. We've only got one brain. And that's going to take us through the rest of our lives. So self-care has been such an amazing, honestly, an amazing tool of discovery for me when I discovered it about 3 to 4 years ago. But yeah, I'm going to be touching more on my mental health in the next few videos. So let me know if you would like to hear more about it. And also what specifically, if you've got any questions. But I also would just like to say, put a disclaimer out there that I am not a trained medical professional. I am not a trained therapist. I use my lived experience to be able to help you guys, hopefully, and inspire you. But all of my opinions and stuff are my own. So if you do need some support, whilst watching this video or after the video or whenever, please do reach out. There are lots of support is available for you, and you don't need to have a diagnosis or an illness or a condition to be able to access it. The support is for everybody. So I've linked some great resources below, such as Samaritans, Mind Charity, talk to your local GP. There is plenty out there, and it is for you. So if you do need some help, or if you do just want to have a talk with somebody about your mental health, please do get in touch with those guys. Thank you so much for watching my first video. I hope you've enjoyed it. And yeah, please like, comment and subscribe, and see you in the next video. Please keep surviving, thriving and stay strong.